Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Arise with me, Sally Goodwin. Welcome, welcome, welcome on this gorgeous, in Cape Town, gorgeous Wednesday morning. Absolutely beautiful after all the wintry cold weather we've had. It looks like it is going to be a beautiful day. Freezing cold, but beautiful. At least a little bit of sun, some wind, but it is winter in Cape Town, so that is all understandable. But at least we're going to see the sun, which is just amazing. So welcome everybody. Good morning, Jen. Lovely to see you, my friend. It was so good to see you over the weekend. And to spend Saturday with you was lovely. Welcome, beautiful Bridget. Good morning, Estrelita. We also have load shedding, Bridget, so we are in the same boat. Welcome, Samantha. Yes, it is freezing here. Awesome, Jen. That sounds amazing. Enjoy every moment of that. Welcome, Renee. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. Yeah, it is absolutely freezing. Sorry, I'm just trying to get myself. Good morning, Jolene. Yes, so load shedding seems to be around again this morning. Sorry, it's very cold and my nose is running. Load shedding seems to be around this morning again. We have load shedding at the moment. So if in a few minutes' time the lights suddenly go on. Good morning, Special Sebs. Lovely to have you on. The lights suddenly go on and noises and shrieking and things like that. -2 in Harrismith. Oh my word, Bridget, I can't believe that. -2 in Harrismith. Good grief. No, that is actually just, I don't even know whether I could cope with that. Good morning, Candace. It is freezing here, but it's definitely not -2. If I was in Harrismith, my nose would just be a constant run. It just would be a constant a constant drizzle. There would be no stopping it. Good morning. Good morning, Hilda. Online cake. It's this Friday. Good morning, Conrad. Welcome, Conrad. I saw a whole lot of these special people, including Conrad, at Rose's meeting on Saturday morning, which was really good, and such a privilege to see all of you in person. So yes, Hilda let the cat out the bag. It's my birthday on this Friday. So, but we will still have the live. I will still go live on. I'm not going to be. I won't be doing anything else at 8 o'clock in the morning on my birthday. So we will still have the live on my birthday on Friday morning. So you will all get to wish me. I won't be having cake at 8 in the morning. Let's just be honest about that. I definitely won't be having cake at 8 in the morning, but I'll be here on my birthday. I will be turning 54. Okay, so a year or two ago, somebody gave me Isaiah 54, like one or two of the verses, but then God was like, no, Isaiah 54 is oh, there we go. Our electricity just came back on. God was like, no, Isaiah 54. Good morning, Simone. Lovely to see you, my friend. Grayton must also be cold this morning, right? It must be cold this morning in Grayton as well, I'm sure. Isaiah 54 is like just your, we have life verses and all of that. And Psalm 68:11 is my life verse, but Isaiah 54 is like one of the sort of chapters that God has given me as my own. And so, yes, this Friday. Thank you, Hilda. You can all sing for me. That's fantastic. Yes, and so on Friday I turned 54. So it feels like I'm really stepping into my Isaiah 54 season. And obviously the very first kind of event of my Isaiah 54 season is my book launch, my event, and it really feels like God is launching my Isaiah 54 season with this enlarging, my 10 pegs with this event. So I feel very privileged and very grateful to be turning 54. Age doesn't bother me. Yeah, it probably is a good thing that I won't hear you all sing, but I'm just going to have faith that you are all singing as loudly as possible wherever you are, and I will be listening in the spirit. Thank you, Jen. I will listen in the spirit for the sound of those angelic voices singing happy birthday. So welcome everybody. It's so good to see you all this morning. So it is the 5th of July, the 5th of July 2023, and the 16th of Tammuz 5783. Yes, thank you, Special Sebs. I received that because I really believe that. So yeah, my birthday is the 7th of July, the 7th of the 7th, which is an exciting date to have a birthday. And yeah, I'm excited for the year to come. I really, really am. I am one of those people who I love my birthday. I have no issue celebrating a birthday. Absolutely no issue with my age or getting a year older or any of those things. So yeah, I'm excited. So here we are, 2 days before my birthday, on the 5th of July 2023, and on the 16th of Tammuz 5783. And I am excited for today. I'm excited for today, ladies and gentlemen, because we are in this season. Okay, so we are on the eve. I know it's only the morning, but you know how the Jewish days work from sunset to sunset. They don't think, oh, wow. Yes. So Jenny just said, imagine I'm going to celebrate my 77th birthday on the 7th of the 7th. You know what, Jen? I hadn't thought about that, but I am going to receive that as that birthday is going to be super, super significant. When I'd never thought of that. But celebrating my 77th birthday on the 7th of the 7th, that is going to be like a super significant birthday. Super significant. I received that. Absolutely received that. Thank you. It's a little way off, but hey, I'm up for it. So, we are about to enter a very exciting time, ladies and gentlemen. So, the Jewish people, their days begin at sunset because they work on a lunar calendar. And because in Genesis, God said, it says in Genesis, there was evening and then there was morning, and that was the first day. Good morning, Jenny Hardesty. Lovely to see you, my friend. Sorry we didn't get a chance to chat on Saturday, but we will see each other soon. Good morning, Helette. Good morning. Okay, on my 77th birthday, we must all meet up on my 77th birthday. Okay, I have no idea where in the world I will be then. But hey, you can all come to wherever I am. We will just trust for that. Absolutely. So, in Genesis, God says there was evening and there was morning and that was the first day. So the Jewish people interpret that as a lunar calendar. So they utilize a lunar calendar. So their day starts at sunset and ends at sunset. So hello, Fiona. Everybody say hello to my very special friend Fiona, who just sends me voice notes filled with so many ideas that my brain actually cannot comprehend and cope with all of them. But she is absolutely amazing, and she doesn't always get an opportunity to join live. So please greet special Fiona, who is in a very transitional place in her life right now. So my prophet friends, Jenny Falskink, if you have a chance or a moment and get anything from the Lord, Prophesy over Fiona, ladies and gentlemen. She's in a very transitional space and she could do with some words from the Lord. So feel free to prophesy over Fiona this morning. Good morning, Jess. Lovely to see you, my friend. Hope your babies are doing well. Okay, right. Come on, let's get into this now. I'm excited for the message this morning. So come on, you ladies need to be ready. And gentlemen, you need to be ready for this. Lunar calendar, sunset to sunset. So we are on the eve of the 17th of Tammuz. Today is the 16th of Tammuz, right? So sunset this evening, the Jewish people move into the 17th of Tammuz, which is the beginning of what they call the 3 weeks of sorrow. It is also known as the between the Straits. It is known as the narrow place. Good morning, Karen. Trust your knees are doing well and you fully recovered from your surgery. It is known as all of those things. So it is a time of mourning for the Jewish people. It is a time where they remember the things that have beset them, the bad things that have happened to them. That is the time that we are entering into. It is literally seen as a time of constriction. It is seen as a time of narrowing. It is seen as a time of pressure. It is seen as a time of difficulty, all of those things. And it can be, and prophetically, if you look at the calendar from a prophetic perspective, it definitely can be all of those things. And so we are in Tammuz, the Hebrew month of Tammuz, which is a month of worship, right? It is a month of worship where we get to worship God in spirit and in truth. It is a month to guard our heart and our eyes. It is a month of patient focus. The month of Tammuz is a month of patient focus, where you patiently focus on what God is doing. Now, whenever we have a month or a prophetic period which calls for patient focus, why is that? It's because often it is a time where we need to be patient and where we need to be focusing on what God is doing and not distracted, which is why we need to be guarding our hearts, guarding our eyes, because it's the time when distractions come fast and furiously and we cannot be pulled into things that may look good but are not God. It is patient. It is a month that requires patient focus, ensuring that we are focusing on what God is calling us to and not being pulled to the left and to the right, constantly turning our heads to all other things that may be good things, but they are not God things for us. They may be God things for other people, but they are not God things for us. So we are on the eve. Good morning, magnificent Martha. We are on the eve of the 17th of Tammuz, this incredibly significant time in Israel's history. And the reason why the Israelites, and the 17th of Tammuz is a fast day for the Jewish people who recognize it as such, for various reasons. One of the first reasons, or one of the main reasons, is because it is when the walls, it's when the temple was destroyed. So the temple was destroyed by the Romans. It's the temple, it was the walls were breached by the Babylonians. The walls were breached by the Romans. The temple was destroyed. All over this period of time, all of these things happened. An idol was erected in the temple. A Roman military leader called Apostomus burned a Torah scroll, which was absolute sacrilege. For the Jewish people. But the thing that we're paying attention to is the fact that it was the time when the Israelites built the golden calf. Now, the Israelites actually built the golden calf. According to Midrash, Jewish Midrash, the Israelites actually built the golden calf in the afternoon of the 16th of Tammuz. So this afternoon, they actually built the golden calf, because Moses ascended Mount Sinai at Shavuot and he stayed there for 40 days. And Moses and the Israelites apparently counted 40 days differently. So according to the Israelites, Moses should have come down today on the 16th, and according to Moses's count, 40 days ended tomorrow on the 17th. And I've said this many times before, but according to Jewish tradition, Moses was 6 hours late from when the Israelites thought he should come down, and within that period of time they asked Aaron to build the golden calf. And so apparently, again, according to Jewish Midrash, according to Jewish tradition and law, the Israelites built the golden calf on the afternoon of the 16th of Tammuz, on this afternoon. And then Moses descended on the 17th of Tammuz, saw the golden calf, saw them worshipping the golden calf already, which went against everything that God had spent 40 days telling him, and destroyed the tablets that it was all written on. And so it was an incredibly significant time in Israel's history. And after that, all of these things happened. The temple, was besieged. An idol was put in the temple. The walls were breached over and over again. These things happened on that and around that date. And because this incredibly terrible spiritual thing had happened then, and there was the Israelites repented, but more in fear of punishment than in fear of the Lord, because that's what they did over and over again, isn't it? They repented, but they repented because of consequence, not really because of fear of the Lord. They repented because of fear of the Lord, but not reverence and awe, more actual fear, and because of consequence. There always had to be consequence before they repented. And so there was just this constant, so they're still waiting for the redemption of those things. And if you actually look further along in Israel's history, you will see that even through their history with persecution, Jewish persecution, as far as in the world wars and things like that, the things have continued to happen to the Jewish people around this period of time, where there have been massacres and terrible destruction of the Jewish people around this period of time in Jewish history. And you only have to look at what's happening in Israel right now to see that even now we see a repetition of things happening around this date. And I don't know if they're even aware of the significance of the date. But so this is where we are. This is where we stand. This is just really sad. It's really, really sad. And we stand on the eve of the anniversary of this. Or actually, this afternoon, the anniversary of this. This is where we are. Okay. Now, if we look at the church, because, we're doing a little... let us not think for one single moment that we face things in the church today that were not faced in the early church. And so I've just finished doing a study of 1 and 2 Timothy and Titus, and too much to go into here. But one of the things that I've studied were the components of false teaching in 1 Timothy, and just a summary of what Paul dealt with in 1 Timothy, of the false teaching Paul dealt with in 1 Timothy through Timothy. And I know this probably feels to you right now like, wow, Sally, you are leaping from one thing to the next thing. I get that. I understand that it feels like that, but just hold on, because you will understand where I'm going in just a moment. Okay, so just park this whole thing with Israel and everything that's happening here, and then look at here what I'm going to show you about the church right now. So this is what they were dealing with in Timothy. Okay. And I don't know, see if this makes any sense to you with regard to the church today. One of the things they were dealing with was myths and endless genealogies, which were resulted from allegorical interpretations of scripture, which deviated from their original meanings to the extent that they did not make any sense. That was the one thing. The other thing was emphasis on obeying specific Jewish ceremonial laws, where the Judaizers had convinced Christians to obey specific Jewish ceremonial laws that they actually didn't need to obey. Unhealthy interest in controversies and quarrels about words, which was an emphasis on knowledge as a primary goal of spirituality. Okay, so you have this kind of mystical thing over here, which was kind of where scripture was interpreted very allegorically, very kind of mystically, very sort of taken out of context, very kind of, oh wow, I'm just going to take this one verse and interpret it like this, with this kind of weird little revelation of my own, and which was so far from what it actually meant. So you have that on this one side, and then on the other side you have this very heavy emphasis on knowledge. It's just all about knowledge as the primary goal of spirituality, with no room for revelation, no room for Holy Spirit, no room for anything else. I mean, does that sound familiar? I wonder, do we know any I don't know. Did any of us recognize that in the church today? Any church today? I don't know about that. Then there was an interest in spiritism and magical powers, which derived from taking in ideas from folk religion and mysticism. Remember we were talking the other day about syncretism, where different religions, where you just mix everything all together and call it Christianity, but you've actually syncretized a bit of African traditional religion, a bit of Judaism, a bit of New Age, a bit of mysticism, a bit of this, a bit of that, and you've mixed it all together and called it Christianity and put it all under the banner of Jesus. Extreme asceticism. So where they, if you read Corinthians, where they were forbidding sex and marriage and the eating of certain foods, they were going to the extreme. There were people who were married and they were deciding, because they thought Jesus was going to come back any moment. So because of that, they were choosing not to have sex with their husbands or wives and not to eat certain foods. They were basically punishing their bodies, like in sort of really way out ways, because they were convinced, one, that Jesus was going to return any moment, and doing it in sort of a hyper spiritual, super spiritual way. Well, we all know that that's called a cult, and we all have seen cults like that around. I mean, just very recently there was something like that happened in Kenya, where a whole lot of people starved to death. So intense fasting, and a whole lot of people starved to death. So that extreme asceticism, that was that. And then excessive interest in money. Wow. Do we see that in the church today? I'm not so sure. The misuse of church leadership positions and preaching to emphasize financial greed and acquire wealth. There we go. I don't know if any of those relate to you, or if you've seen that anywhere in any church, but those were the things that they were struggling with in 1 Timothy. How many thousands of years ago was that? 2,000 years ago? Early church days. Does it sound familiar? What we struggle with today? Same demons, same devil, same traps, same issues. Might be different context, more social media, different clothes, but same demonic entities. The devil hasn't changed, he hasn't grown, he hasn't created new demons. We deal with the same stuff. Okay, so here we are on the eve of the 17th of Tammuz, about to enter into a prophetic period of time that the Jewish people face every single year, because they haven't found full redemption yet in Jesus. We are in the same space as a church that they were back in the early church, and we are just like, what on earth is going on? And yet I am filled with such excitement. Why is that? Because there are 3 words that God has been speaking to me over and over and over again. And these are the 3 words: breakthrough, birthing, awakening. Breakthrough, birthing, awakening. In that order. In that order. Breakthrough, birthing, awakening. Now, he has spoken those words to me over this event on the 19th of August. And if you can be there on the 19th of August, and this is not me punting my event, please understand that. This is me telling you that that is what God has promised me is going to be available at that event. He is going to move, not because of me, not because of Rose, not because of anybody else, but because he has chosen to do this on the 19th of August, to move in those areas. Breakthrough, birthing, and awakening. Those are the things that are going to be available on that day. And there are going to be women there who have already broken through, who birthed and brought awakening. And there are going to be women gathered in that place who have walked in that and who are going to bring that. And so you will step into the impartation of that and receive the declaration of that over your life. And it's going to be powerful, I promise you that. But right now, as we enter into this prophetic space on the Hebrew calendar, this is what I see. So it has to be in that order: breakthrough, birthing, awakening. Because for all of us who have had children, and those of us who, Jessie, for example, has literally just had a baby, and beautiful Jen is about to give birth, the first thing that happens when you have a baby is your waters break, right? Breakthrough. Your waters break. That is the first thing that happens. And God showed me that at the beginning, today, on the eve of the 17th of Tammuz, the first thing that's happening at the beginning of this prophetic period is the breaking of the waters. The breaking of the waters. Why? Because we are going to learn about Yahweh Perazim in this period of time. That is who we are learning about. And there is so much. I have so much. I am so excited because before, over the last few years that I've preached about this period, I have always felt it's a period of crushing. Please don't be anxious about that, or don't feel all kind of, oh my goodness, here we go again, more crushing, more. Don't be anxious about that. Remember that the purest oil and the most beautiful diamonds and the most refined gold and fabulous silver comes out of the crushing and out of the process. But you know, whenever I've preached on this period, this prophetic period, because I've been talking about it for years now, it has always come from that position of, okay, we need to kind of gird our loins and stand firm and be prepared for this. This is different. There has been a shift, ladies and gentlemen. There has been a shift, and we are in a different era. This is a different space that we are in. God has moved and things have shifted. I'm not saying that there isn't going to be a constriction, a pressing in, a crushing of some sort, but there is a different feel to it. It is a different space that we are occupying right here. Exactly, Sylvia. We have got to trust the process here. There can't be anxiety here. You've got to walk through this knowing that Yahweh Perazim is the one that you get to rely on in this space. And so where do we go here? We go, and okay, just hold on to your hats, because what I want to do is bring the redemption of what Israel has faced for so many thousands of years over here, and the church, because we are the people who are hearing, have said yes to walk in the eternal paths, who have heard the sound of the trumpet and have said, yes, we hear and we will obey. We are not those who, according to Jeremiah 6, verse 16 and 17, we are not those who are saying we will not walk those paths. We will not listen to the trumpet. We are those who are saying we will walk the eternal paths. We will hear and obey the call of the trumpet. We will be those who rise up. We are not those who are going to look at what is wrong with the church and say, oh well, that's just the way it is. We just are going to have to, it's been like that for so long, what can I do? No, we are going to be those who will speak up, stand up, get out, do what needs to be done. Whatever God calls us to do, we will be those who walk in radical obedience. We will not just be those who arise, we will be those who are activated. We will be those who do something. We will not just be those who let our voices be heard. We will be those who stand up and say, I am not just one of those who is now called to arise. I am now one of those who will be activated and will step into what God has called me to do, and be one of those who stands, who's up. So, what are we looking at? Ladies and gentlemen, we are looking this morning at 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 20. And David came to Baal Perazim, and he smote them there, and said, the Lord has broken through my enemies before me, like the bursting out of great waters. So he called the name of that place Baal Perazim, Lord of breaking through. Lord of breaking through. I'm going to read that to you again. In fact, let us start from verse 18. This is King David going up against the Philistines. Okay? He is now finally been anointed king over all of Israel after, what was it, like 15 years. So remember, Samuel anointed him king, but it took 15 years, round about there, for him to actually step in to kingship. And finally, he has now been king, anointed king over all of Israel. And the Philistines now hear of this and they rise up against him. So what happens when God says to you, right, you are now going to step in to everything that I have called you to? So God calls us to things, and then there comes a time when we are now commissioned to step into the things that we have been called to. You might have been called 5 years ago. You might have been called 10 years ago. And now it has been a process of you reaching the point where God now commissions you to step into what he called you to all of that time ago. And now the enemy hears that the commissioning has taken place, and the enemy sends his Philistines out to meet you at that place of commissioning. Because the enemy is like, no, I'm not going to let this go down without a fight. And then we go, oh no, maybe I should step back because here comes my enemy. What did David do? David, verse 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 19, David inquired of the Lord. Don't you love that word? David inquired of the Lord. It doesn't say David rushed to the Lord in anxiety, in fear and trembling, and said to him, you have just made me king, and here come all my enemies, and now what am I going to do? David inquired of the Lord. It sounds like they were just having a chat. You know, they were just having a chat. They were just like, it sounds like David just said to the Lord calmly and quietly one morning, shall I go up against the Philistines? Like it was actually a choice. Like he didn't have to. But in verse 18, it says that the Philistines came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. They spread themselves, which sounds, you know, the Philistines were always a formidable enemy. So the Philistines came and they spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. But David inquires of the Lord, saying, shall I go up against the Philistines? Like there was a choice. He didn't have to. There was a possibility that God would say, no, it's fine. Don't bother. It's going to be okay. Will you deliver them into my hands? He's not too perturbed. He has been 15 odd years in the process of becoming king and watched God do some pretty phenomenal things. And so he's not too worried about this early threat. He's like, if God was going to take 15 years to make me king, he's not going to allow me to be unkinged this early in the game. We need to remember that. I need to remember that. If God has taken how many years to bring me this far, he's not going to allow the enemy to take me out when I'm just one hurdle away from reaching the point that he wants me to reach. And the Lord says to David, go up, for I will surely deliver them into your hand. You know, it sounds like God saying to him, you know what, let's just do this, let's just do this. And David came to Baal Perazim, and he smote them there and said, the Lord has broken through my enemies before me like the bursting out of great waters. So he called the name of that place Baal Perazim, Lord of breaking through. Lord of breaking through. So here we have, I want you to remember that name, Baal Perazim, Lord of breaking through. So here we are. Here we are where we have just learned about the Lord my sword, right? Yahweh Perazim, the Lord my sword. And now, so right before we step in to this breaking of waters, this breakthrough moment as we enter this between the straits, this prophetic space where we're going to go breakthrough, birthing, awakening. We have learned about Yahweh Perazim, the Lord my sword. who now comes with us and becomes also Yahweh Perazim, the Lord of my breakthrough. So Yahweh Chereb, Yahweh Perazim, Yahweh Chereb uses his sword to be the Lord of my breakthrough. But I want to take that one step further. In Micah chapter 2, verse 12 to 13. Micah chapter 2, verse 12 to 13. I will surely gather all of you, O Jacob. I will surely collect the remnant of Israel. I will bring them, Israel, together like sheep in a fold, like a flock in the midst of their pasture. They, the fold and the pasture, shall swarm with men and hum with much noise. The breaker, the Messiah, will go up before them. They will break through, pass in through the gate, and go out through it, and their king will pass on before them, the Lord at their head. This is the Amplified version I'm reading from. So Micah chapter 2, verse 13, the breaker, the Messiah, will go up before them. Yahweh Perazim, the breaker, the Messiah. Okay, have you got that? So we've read about Yahweh Perazim in 2 Samuel chapter 5. Now we've got Micah chapter 2 verse 12 to 13 that speaks about the breaker in terms of the Messiah. Okay, are you holding on? Are you hanging on to my scriptural threads here? Have you got the gist of what I'm saying to you? Because I'm taking you one step further. We are now going to go to Matthew chapter 11. Verse 10 to 12. This is the one of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger ahead of you, who shall make ready your way before you. Truly I tell you, among those born of women, there has not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist, yet he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Now pay attention. And from the days of John the Baptist until the present time, the kingdom of heaven has endured violent assault, and violent men seize it by force. As a precious prize, a share in the heavenly kingdom is sought with most ardent zeal and intense exertion. Now that is the Amplified, okay? That is the Amplified. Now, this verse, Matthew chapter 11 verse 12, from the days of John the Baptist until the present time, the kingdom of heaven has endured violent assault, and violent men seize it by force. That is one of the most misunderstood, most mistranslated, mispreached on verses in Matthew. Lots of people just avoid it because they don't know how to preach on it. Most people who preach on it incorrectly. But I found a book written by a Messianic Jew, and in one of his things that he was writing on, he spoke about this verse, Matthew chapter 11 verse 12, and he spoke of how in this verse the word peretz is used. Peretz, peretzim, breaker. And this was his explanation. The word peretz is actually, and how it translates to breaker, is because in ancient Israel, a shepherd, so the word peretz in ancient Hebrew meant a shepherd who breaks boundaries, a shepherd who breaks boundaries to release his sheep, or a woman going into labor. What did I just say to you? Breaking, waters breaking, breakthrough. A shepherd who breaks boundaries to release his sheep, or a woman going into labor. An ancient Hebrew shepherd. You remember in those days, in ancient biblical times, there were no fences and things like that to keep sheep in. What an ancient Hebrew shepherd used to do at night was he would get all his sheep together and he would build an enclosure made of rocks. He would build an enclosure made of rocks to keep himself and his sheep enclosed, so that the wolves and the bears and the things like that couldn't get to him. So him and his sheep would be enclosed in an enclosure made of rocks. Then what would happen is, in the morning, when the morning came, the shepherd would kick open the rocks. He would kick the rocks open, kick an opening in the rocks, so that his sheep could get through the opening in the rocks and go out into the pastures to graze. And that was what was being implied in this Matthew chapter 11 verse 12 in terms of Jesus. And this Messianic Jew says that Matthew chapter 11 verse 12 is actually referring to Micah chapter 2 verse 12 and 13 in terms of the Messiah as the breaker, as the shepherd who is also the breaker, that the kingdom of heaven bursts forth in response to Jesus, that he is the shepherd who breaks down the walls and sets us free. I'm sorry, but this is so exciting, that the shepherd is the breaker that knocks out the stones or the rocks, that the sheep are set free or birthed, that when the shepherd, the peretz, knocks out the stones or the rocks, there is a force required to do so because of the enclosure that has to be built to protect the shepherd and his sheep. There is a force that is required to knock out the stones and the rocks, and it's like the sheep are birthed, because then you can imagine they all push their way through the enclosure to get out into the pasture to graze, and it's like they are set free or birthed. The kingdom of heaven bursts forth in response to Jesus. He is the shepherd who breaks down the walls and sets us free. As it says in Micah, the breaker, the Messiah, will go up before them. They will break through, pass in through the gates and go out through it, pass in through the narrow straits and go out through them, and their king will pass on before them, the Lord at their head, as he did for David. Yahweh Perazim. What did David say? Yahweh Perazim, the Lord of breaking through. He has broken through my enemies before me, like the bursting out of great waters, like what happens when a woman is about to give birth. Her waters break. Ladies and gentlemen, be expectant. This is not like a natural birthing process. So this is not like your waters break, you go into labor, you deliver the baby. This is a spiritual birthing process. So your waters might take a period of time to break, because I'm expectant that this is a process that we will all enter into, that for many of us will culminate on the 19th of August, but because that is what God has ordained, because he just has this prophetic timeline that he is putting in place for so many of us, because there is something significant that he is doing right now at this time on the earth, not just for me, not just for us, not just here in South Africa, not just in Africa, but around the world. He is putting this prophetic timeline in place because he is doing something incredible. There is this convergence of breakthrough, birthing, awakening, breakthrough, birthing, awakening, breakthrough, birthing, awakening. I've spoken before about this whole thing of being a transition prophet, that I live in this space of breakthrough, birthing, awakening, because that is transition, and it is a constant transition space for those of us who live in transition, because constantly people are experiencing that breakthrough, birthing, awakening, breakthrough, birthing, awakening. It won't be the last time you do it. You will do it again at another point in your life, as you birth the things that God has called you to birth, as you step into the things that God has called you to step into. This won't be the last time. It will be more. There will be more. There's always more that God calls you to, always more that he draws you to, always more. If you give him your yes, if you surrender, if you're sold out for Jesus, there will always be more. But the point is to step into it. But it is a new era. We are in a new era, and we are on the cusp of new, the cusp of newness. This is the preparation for what is to come, and it is not scary. It is nothing to fear. It is nothing to be, there's so much talk about all the things that are happening globally, and one world this and microchip that and, World Health Organization this. And I'm not saying we don't need to be prepared for all of this. I'm not saying that we don't need to know what's going on. But what I'm saying is the book of Revelation is the unveiling. It is the revelation of Jesus Christ. It is not the revelation of the Antichrist. It is not the revelation of the one world government. It is not the revelation of what Satan is going to do on the earth. It is the revelation of what Jesus is going to do. It is the revelation of the second coming of our Messiah. It is the revelation of the new heaven, of the new earth, of the new Jerusalem. It is not the revelation of what nations are going to rise up against Israel. It is not the revelation of whether the war is going to be physical or spiritual, or whether the streets will really run red with blood. It is not that revelation. That is not the revelation. We pay far much too attention to what exactly that is all supposed to mean. It is not that revelation. It is the revelation of Yahweh Perazim. It is the revelation of the Messiah, our breaker. It is the revelation of the kingdom of heaven bursting forth in response to Jesus. It is the revelation of the whole earth groaning for the revealing of the sons of man. It is the revelation of us rising up as the bride to meet our bridegroom. That is the revelation that is meant in the book of Revelation. That is what we should be focusing on. Yes, we must be wise as serpents and gentle as doves. Yes, we need to know what's going on. Yes, we need to be aware. Yes, we mustn't be deceived. Yes, our discernment must be operating absolutely full ball, completely. Yes to all of that. But let us focus on what it is that God is wanting to reveal, because God is not bothered by who the Antichrist is, or what the World Health Organization is trying to do on the earth. God is not worried about that. He's always known. God is waiting for us to stand up and for the kingdom of heaven to burst forth in response to the revelation of the Messiah. God is waiting for us to step into the convergence of breakthrough, birthing, and awakening, the convergence of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the convergence of the experience of the weightiness of His presence. Let us rejoice as we enter in at sunset this evening. Let us rejoice as we enter into this, what the Jewish people call 3 weeks of sorrow, between the Straits, this narrow place, because we are starting with breakthrough, and we are going to go through the birthing process, and we are going to finish with awakening. And it will start with us as individuals, and then it will impact our families, and then it will impact our communities, and then it will impact our cities, then it will impact our nations, it will impact our continents, it will impact, and that is how what we call revival spreads. We think revival is when our service goes on for an extra half an hour longer, because everyone isn't rushing out the door. We think revival is when, we pray through the night. Those are things that people who are sold out for Jesus have been doing for years. No. It is when the kingdom of heaven bursts forth through us in response to Yahweh Perazim, who has gone before us with his breaker anointing. I challenge you to meditate on Matthew chapter 11, verse 10 to 12, and understand what Jesus is saying, that John the Baptist, there was not anyone greater than John the Baptist, yet he who is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Understand that we are all messengers. We all are called to step into that space as messengers, kingdom messengers today, and bring what John the Baptist brought. It is an exciting time, ladies and gentlemen. Do not let the enemy tell you differently. Do not let him lie to you. It is an exciting time to be alive if you are focused on Yahweh Chereb and Yahweh Perazim. It is an exciting time to be alive. So I just leave you with that. Pay attention to those scriptures. What did I say to you? 2 Samuel 5, verse 20, Micah 2, verse 12 to 13, and Matthew chapter 11, verse 10 to 12. And if anyone ever tells you differently about Matthew chapter 11, verse 12, you just tell them what the word peretz means, and you will never read that verse the same way again. Love you all. Bless you all. I will see you on Friday. Even though it's my birthday, I still feel that I need to bring my message on Friday morning. So I will bring you a special birthday message on Friday morning. And have an amazing Wednesday. If you're in Cape Town, go get some sun. And I'll see you on Friday at 8. Love you. Bless you. See you then.